My family thought that it wasn't a particularly good idea to go to art school and I should do something more academic like graphic design. I don't think they really thought it was ever going to amount to very much. Most of the areas where the art schools were very bohemian areas, and you was right in the centre of where the culture was. Whereas now many of the art schools are relocated to new locations because it became that the art schools became run as businesses. So now you have the strange situation where people are going to Central St Martin's because, you know, the Sex Pistols went there, or they're going there because Vivienne Westwood went there, but actually they're not in the same building, they're just buying into the brand. All the art students and everyone now go to these art fairs and they consider it to be sort of mainstream culture, which of course it isn't. It's just culture for the people who want to pay £25,000 a square metre to hire a stand at an art fair. And really, they're trade fairs. I mean, it's no different than going to a trade fair about motor cars or, you know, pipe fittings, because how can you show very spiritual work at an art fair? I mean, you've got people walking around like cattle. I'm famous for doing quite a few different things over the years, but at the moment I suppose the last thing I was quite well known for was producing these sort of paradox portraits with the heads upside down. I was quite interested in the whole idea of how celebrity culture's changed. I mean, I wanted to do a body of work, which I would do eventually on Jade Goody. And if you think about her short life, I mean, she is the ultimate celebrity, really. I mean, she was completely taken out of her own context and manipulated, and then she couldn't understand why everything was starting to go wrong for her. Because really she had no control over anything anyway, she was always being managed by other people. And it was a bit like Hogarth's Rake's Progress, where you get sucked into something and then you get pushed all the way through it and then you come out the other side and you end up completely destroyed by it. So I collect lots of political posters and ephemera and things like that. I've always had an interest in that. So I wanted to sort of do something to do with English history. I was quite interested in the miners' strike because it was a massive thing in this country. It was a time we almost came to a civil war. The idea of the work would be that it's almost like a political campaign. So I've made posters, I've made sort of PR material that shows you the story of the strike and what happened. And the idea of the works is that they're there to cause debate, not only in the mining community but in wider society about what happened at that time. So they weren't meant to be highly conceptual, they weren't meant to do sort of intellectual gymnastics to understand them. They were meant to be very simple. So we made pictures from coal dust, whereas Andy Warhol made pictures from diamond dust. We used pictures that epitomised the poverty and the dirt of the industry. This is actually Che Guevara's outline with Arthur Scargill's head on it. And then we decided that it looked a bit trite, so then we got the picture of him at Orgreave with his cap on, and we used that shot, but we put it on Che Guevara's shoulders. So that's the picture we made out of coal dust. I mean, the people's personal stories of what they went through during the miners' strike and how the government tried to starve them to death and used starvation as a weapon against people and their families. I mean, you wouldn't actually believe that it would go on in a modern democracy. I think the subject's very interesting because it's particularly English in the way that the English always like the idea of heroicism in defeat. I mean, if you think of Dunkirk or Scott of the Antarctic, it's always this idea of like being heroic and snatching dignity and pride from the jaws of defeat. And I think the miners' strike is a typical example of that. I was showing with Steve Lazaridis' gallery, and we spent quite a long time courting Steve Lazaridis because we thought if we're going to do this kind of work, then we've got to show it with Lazaridis. That would be the best person to show it with. So it's important to work with someone who's outside of that fine art system.